Hello. About a year ago, I started feeling not brilliantly well, and I'm pleased to say that the doctors have finally worked out what the problem was and have sorted that out for me. And so, for the first time in really quite a long time, I feel up to doing some gardening, or to be out in the garden doing stuff. I don't know if what I've been up to would actually count as gardening, but I have been out and about and I have been doing things. Mr. J has been out here with me and we have tackled masses out here. Out in the back garden, which I only started creating last year, I was at the shop one day at a supermarket and saw some pots of hyacinths that were going to be coming into flower soon. So I bought 5 of those for £10, and I think that's £10 very well spent. So I've chosen a spot for them, I have planted them, and then I've mulched around them with partially composted wood chips. And I'm looking forward to those flowering in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I've also put in a couple of new raised beds, at least new to this garden. I've reused and reconfigured an old raised bed. In our first summer here in July 2021, I bought a modular raised bed and I constructed it so it was a long, thin and double height raised bed. So it was really very deep. And my friend Erica helped me fill that. So what we've got is a whole load of old bits of wood. Some of them have got nails in them, so we're going to be a bit careful about how those go in. And we can't just place them straight down because of the length of this bed and the depth of it. There are actually cross pieces supporting it, not only one a few inches from the top and across the bottom, but there are tension wires going across it as well. So these longer pieces we're going to feed in and through. That wasn't very elegant, but basically we just need to get some wood in, and then we'll get a layer of horse manure onto it. Our next task is just to start filling this up.
Yep.
So 1 wheel load of wood is going to cover not even a 2-inch layer at the bottom of this. I think this might take us quite some time, Erica.
Yeah, I think we underestimated how much wood we'd need to do for each layer.
Yeah, so we'll just keep going and we'll come back in a little while.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
So halfway, we're just over halfway.
It's certainly hard work.
The sun's come out, it's got quite warm, and we were just pausing to talk about how deep we continue the layers of wood. I don't really have many small sticks to do that kind of hugelkultur thing of it getting smaller and smaller pieces. So we're going to have to think a bit carefully. And you were just saying, like me, in the past you might have got the wood a little bit too high up.
Yes, that's one thing I found about doing hugelkultur in a raised bed compared to in the ground or on the ground, is that, you know, you really do need a good depth of soil above the last layer of wood, so that the plants have enough kind of soil in to be able to actually grow and get down to the wood.
So one last push.
One last push, we can do it.
almost speechless. So it's no longer that very deep bed. They're now two separate beds. This one's a square, the other one's still a long rectangle, which I'll be putting over there in the garden. And in fact, up in the veg garden and polytunnel, I've noticed there are 2 or 3 more smaller beds that actually aren't being used to their maximum capacity. So they could be brought down here and used here. I think you can hear there's quite a lot of bird song around here. I planted this hornbeam hedge about 4 years ago, and it was just very small whips, and that's basically a stem with some root on the bottom. They were about 2 feet high, and in that time they have grown quite nicely, most of them to taller than me, which is nice. And I wanted the hedge here so that it would provide shelter for wildlife and wild birds, that it would provide a backdrop for the shrubbery which goes along here. It would create another windbreak and help slow the wind down as it goes across the land. But I also want it to give some sort of permanence and structure to the gardens so that in winter there was still definitely a framework in the garden. And now it's time to take the tops off them, which will encourage them to bush out and become more shrubby, so we actually get a thicker, fuller hedge. Oh dear. So Mr. J and I are working our way along the hedge from one end to the other and carefully and slowly selecting which stems to cut, which ones to leave. And at this stage the idea is just to take the height down to encourage the growth outwards. I've noticed that the frogs are spawning in our little pond by the vegetable garden, and here is a female and a male meeting up, and so you know I've left them with their privacy to do their own froggy thing. I've started pruning the roses and tying them into the archway, although I've still got a lot of pruning left to do, like all this dead material, and I also need to weed the entire rose arch. Elsewhere in the garden, Mr. J continues to cut back hedges like this cornice, which I put in again 4 years ago. And it's interesting that one side is so much shorter than the other, but the one side was protected from rabbits and the other one got ravaged by them. Mr. J has been out in the garden with the hedge trimmer, dealing with the raspberries for me. So this is a raspberry hedge going along here, and they're autumn fruiting raspberries, so the best thing to do with them is to cut them back hard during the dormant period, so any time from sort of November, maybe the end of November, through to beginning of March. Take them right down to the ground, and that really encourages lots and lots of new growth. So the quickest way to do it when you have a vast number is with a hedge trimmer. And we used to do it with secateurs, but honestly we've now got about 80 metres of quite wide raspberry hedging, and so we do it mechanically. And today he is now just about to start dealing with my rose hedge. So this is Rosa rugosa, and I grow it for the hips. So basically grow it as a crop for the rose hips, and that hedge goes all the way up here and all the way along there. And likewise he's going to be doing that with the hedge trimmer, not cutting as low as he did with the raspberries, and then rather than having very empty stems at the bottom and all the flowers at the top, hopefully we'll have flowers all over. Mr. J and I have decided to do a little bit of an experiment on this hedge, and he has cut back every other plant so that we can see how much difference it makes in terms of their flowering this year. I think that would be a really useful thing to know, because I don't want to keep cutting them back for years to come and then finding it's not having the kind of impact I want it to. So I'll report back later in the year. And I'm just revelling in this sunshine, although, you know, I've nearly always got something to say about the weather. Well, the sun's come out, which is lovely. Having talked about the lack of rain this morning, shortly before 6 a.m, it started raining. It's windy and it's blowy today. In true British tradition, the 2 glorious days of sunshine have given way to grey skies, clouds, and the wind is blowing quite hard again. After that incredibly frosty start, what a turn up for the books. This is just delightful. The rain has finally stopped, or at least for a few days. And then when Storm Dennis came through, which was absolutely fierce, and we had a mini tornado, and our weather app actually said tornado. It's another cool, in fact it's a frosty morning. Beautiful sunny day. What a nicer way to celebrate midsummer than to be out in the sunshine. At the top of our garden, this is our boundary fence here, we've planted in a load of trees. Now these were free because they are self-sown seedlings from a gravelled area over by the barn near the house, and we get hundreds of them every year, so we've scooped a few of them out of that gravelled area and planted them up here. And in fact I've still got quite a lot to plant, so they come out, some of them with just a little bit of soil and a bigger root. Some of them have got quite a lot of soil with them. Those ones are still waiting to go in. We'll get there with those. We've planted these really quite closely together, so they form a thicket almost along here, like a hedge. And over time, as they get bigger, well, the strongest ones are going to do best, and I guess the younger ones will die out, or we'll cut them out. But it will give us a bit more of a windbreak, a little bit of privacy, and will also help to absorb, hopefully, a lot of the water that comes rushing down this hill every time it rains. Because I'm thinking the more we've got in the ground, the more big roots are taking up water. Actually, for this area, the better. An awful lot of what we do in the garden is done to support the local wildlife population. And if you're wondering what some of those things are and some of the things that you could do in your garden, well, I've made a video and I'll leave a link on the screen, and if you click on that, it'll take you straight through to that video.